Hey everyone, welcome back to Room 237. Coming at you with another animated Batman film. And if you follow my playlist, you'll see that I've praised every animated Batman film I've talked about so far. And it's not so much that I wanted to rant on a Batman film. I never want to do that. But this one was going to come sooner or later, so I figured why not get it over with. Easily my least favorite Batman animated film, Batman Ninja. Came out last year, 2018. And I remember when it came out, I thought it was kind of interesting. I was like, oh, Batman, it's an anime. It actually made by Japanese anime filmmakers. Takes place in ancient Japan. I was like, it seemed interesting. And this was the first Batman movie to come out since I've been collecting the animated films. I didn't even really get into the animated films until probably around the time Gotham by Gaslight came out, 2016. At first it was just like live action, then comics, and then I got into everything else within the last few years. So yeah, this was the first one that I heard about. It was like, oh, that's coming out soon. First one I anticipated. And I have to say, the first time I saw it, I kind of didn't know what to make of it. And, every time I think about it, it's just one of those things. It's like, I'm not a fan. I don't really enjoy it. But every time I watch it, it's enough to keep me hooked and want to finish it. But yeah, there's a lot about this movie I'm just not a fan of. And, like, for starters, I'm not the biggest fan of anime. It's just, I don't hate it. I have nothing really against it. It's just not really my style. My girlfriend is really into anime. She loves anime. I watch it with her. And, this isn't the first time Batman and anime have sort of come together. In fact, the first original animated film outside of like the animated series, Gotham Knight, which came out in 2008, that had anime. It was 6 segments done by 6 different animation companies, and a lot of it was Japanese style. But yeah, this is the first full-blown anime Batman film. It's not based on anything. It's completely original. I mean, I will say it's animated very well. I mean, it doesn't... I've actually never really seen an anime quite like this. I mean, there's some times where it almost looks... You can almost see the strokes of the paint, like on Batman's cowl. Pretty much the story is it opens up in Arkham Asylum. A gorilla Grodd, which I always thought he was a Flash villain. I know he appears in a lot of Batman stuff, but I thought he was a Flash villain. He has this new invention that he calls the Quake engine. It's a time travel mechanism. He wants to send some of the Gotham's biggest villains somewhere else so he can take over Gotham himself. But shit gets fucked up. He sends himself, handful of villains, back to ancient Japan. And Batman himself. But Batman, there was like a bit of a delay Like, they all got sent back, then he got sent back a few seconds later. But those few seconds in time travel, when he gets to ancient Japan, it's 2 years after everyone else has been sent. And it's kind of like, how did all these other people get sent? Like, I understand them because they were all in Arkham Asylum. I guess they were in the vicinity. But, you know, Alfred got sent back. The Batmobile. All the Robins. You know, Nightwing, Red Hood, Red Robin, and Damian Robin all got sent back. And basically, this is back where, like, historically, Japan was split up amongst 5 major cities that were all at war with each other. And each villain is sort of a, a crime boss of that city. You have Penguin, Two-Face. All of them aren't even on the back cover. So, yeah, Penguin, Two-Face, Deathstroke, Poison Ivy, and the major one is Joker and Harley Quinn. They're like the most powerful ones. And then you also have Gorilla Grodd. Also, Catwoman got sent back, and of course she has her betrayal and double crossings. And right off the bat, Joker, he has this, he calls it Arkham Castle, like the tall Japanese buildings with like the red roofs. It's a giant robot. He was able to convert it into a giant robot. He destroys Batman's Batmobile, which then turns into the Batwing. He destroys that. Then it turns into the Batcycle. He destroys that. So Batman's literally left with nothing. Also, I guess Bane got sent back also, because Bane is a pawn of Joker, and he becomes a sumo wrestler. He's in one scene. And oh yeah, they all have like classic Japanese anime makeovers. Like Nightwing has almost like Dragon Ball Z hair. Like they're all sort of transformed. And also there's like this a ninja clan who are all modeled after Batman. There's some prophecy about the man dressed as a bat that will help them. And so basically, it's up to Batman to stop everybody. And then Gorilla Grodd, he still wants to take over Japan with his army of monkeys, which he's a fucking gorilla. And even he calls himself and his army monkeys. They're fucking apes. And just a lot of the, like, I understand it is made by Japanese anime filmmakers, people who typically don't write for Batman, so the characters are a little off. Like Joker, his whole thing is to kill Batman. Like, he wants to kill Batman. And the guy that plays Joker, I'm gonna have to, there's no one who has really appeared in other films. Like, we have Roger Craig Smith plays Batman, Tony Hale as the Joker, and Tony Hale as the Joker, it's like someone doing a high-pitched, annoying Mark Hamill impression. I thought the Joker was very annoying in this. Tara Strong does come back as Harley Quinn, so I do like that. Will Friedle plays Tim Drake, so, I mean, he was Terry in Batman Beyond. Tom Kenny plays Penguin, but he literally has like no lines. Like, of all the other villains besides Joker and Grodd, Two-Face has like the most to do, and even he only has like maybe 1 minute of screen time. The rest, like, Penguin is literally just like his wah, 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 and he says maybe one or two things. So Tom Kenny doesn't have shit to do with Penguin. Deathstroke, all those villains have, like, less than half a minute of screen time combined. And, Damian is very fucking, like, happy, like, Batman, we know what to do. And he has, like, this little monkey that, like, helps out and does shit. There's one point where Joker's ship explodes and Red Hood is, like, gonna go look for him. And I don't really understand why it does this. Maybe it's because I generally don't watch anime, so I don't really know what this means. But, they get, like, a letter or a scroll from Red Hood saying he found Joker and Harley Quinn. So then it turns into, like, this almost black and white, like, watercolor animation where, like, Red Hood, like, first of all, I don't know what the fuck he's wearing. It looks like a Chinese finger trap on his head. That's red, and, like, Joker's hair is still green. But Joker and Harley are like these farmers, and they're sane, and they're very gentle and nice. And Red Hood just beats the fuck out of them. And, it's like they don't know who he is or who Batman is. They have no memory of themselves. So even Batman is like, they must have lost their memory in the explosion. They're not going to be hurting anybody, so they leave him be. And, they finally have one sprout in their farm, so they're, like, rejoicing with each other. But their laughter and cry soon turns insane. Joker goes to wipe his face, and we see, like, the smile. Later, you find out he hypnotized himself to be sane, and then the plant they grew would make him insane again. Just so he could get his stuff together without Batman finding him. And just, every time I see it, I just don't really understand the point. And I've always said, it's basically just Batman versus Power Rangers. That's kind of what it is, because all his technology is gone. And that's when Batman decides, and even his Robins are telling him that, like the craftsmanship of Japanese weapons are unrivaled, even by today's standards. So that's when Batman, he gets them all ready. He's like, we're gonna fight, but with everything that's available to us in this time and place. So there's like this big gearing up scene where they get like their swords, their shurikens, their, all their Japanese ninja weapons. So then they're on their horses going to fight, and all the villains are in their giant fucking robots. So it's like, oh, well, that was pointless. Now they don't get to use any of those weapons. All 5 villains are in, like, a building that... And also Grodd has, like, this mind control thing on all the villains except Joker. So he gives them all this technology so they can turn their buildings into giant robots. Kind of like the big Power Ranger bots. I can't remember what they're called. And at one point, they all come together to make a fucking... a Megazord type thing. And, like, there's... Grodd ends up, being overtaken by the Joker, so he ends up siding with Batman. And he gives Batman his flute that can control his army of monkeys. Apes. So, Damian's little monkey plays the flute, and you have, like, hundreds of thousands and millions of these apes with, like, Japanese armor they all first they're climbing all over the giant robot, and then they all like come together to form this like Pop Funko looking ape with all their like armor facing out. So it's like when the robot shoots like a missile, they all open up so it goes through. And it's like, okay, I kind of get it. I could go with that, but then like the same thing happens but with bats. Like bats are all swarming in, and they swarm around like the giant formed ape. And instead of just looking like a bat symbol or like a solid black Batman, it looks like a 1940s comic book Batman. Black and gray with a yellow belt. And I'm like, how is it anatomically correct? I know it's a cartoon, I know it's anime, but... And then, you know, each Robin and Catwoman, they take on one of the different villains of, like, the 5. Batman goes after Joker, and I will say, like, during the fight, Joker, they did do a good job making him look insane. You know, the more he gets beat up, the more insane he looks. And the day is saved, and then it just ends. And, you know, I can't really say, you know, it's not like the comics, it's not like how the characters really are, because these, you know, these are Japanese anime writers. They typically don't write Batman. So I can't fault them for that, but, you know, I'm just not the biggest fan of anime or the story. A lot of it seems kind of really silly. Like Joker's way over the top, and like all the monkeys forming to make the giant monkey, and the bats forming an anatomically perfect Batman. I mean, it's cool that it looked like the 1940s original Batman, but anatomically correct. Yeah, I didn't mind Roger Craig Smith as the voice of Batman, but yeah, it is my least favorite. And I don't even hate the film. You know, I don't hate it. Like I don't even hate Batman and Robin, that '97 film. I do hate BVS, but it'll be a while before I review that, because that's going to be a tidal wave of hate comments. I can already tell. But yeah, Batman Ninja, not the strongest one. I mean, it was fresh and original and different. Just wasn't really my cup of tea at the end of the day. And again, I don't hate it. It just kind of, I would say I dislike it. There's a lot of things I don't like. I do think it's silly. Some things just don't make sense to me. But, yeah. Batman Ninja, definitely my least favorite animated Batman film. But anyway, let me know what you think of Batman Ninja. I'm curious to read it in the comments, and thank you for watching.